Hello, friends. We should be live now. Let's go ahead and start with the sound check. Can everybody hear us? Everybody say hello.
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 All right, let me know if you don't hear
Hello,
all the voices.
universe.
Chat.
Can you hear us?
Loud and
Hopefully
clear.
you can hear
Perfect.
us all.
Thank you, Cher.
Aw.
Yay!
So helpful, thank you.
So, today we're going to be playing a game called Ironsworn Starforged. It's one of those ones with a colon. So, Starforged is based off of the Ironsworn system, but it is set in space. So, Starforged is really like it's very human-centric for a sci-fi game. It's got kind of that like kind of a Firefly feel to it. It's not really like alien focused or necessarily robot focused. It's very human centric, which is one of the things that I absolutely love about it. I have not gotten to play it yet, even though I backed it like pretty much immediately when it came out. So I'm really excited about this. Today we are going to be working on character creation and world building aspects of this game, which is really cool because there's like tons of oracles, which are random tables. So we're mostly going to be doing a lot of that today. I am going to be your guide for today. My name is Jenna. I'm one of the ladies of D&D. You've probably seen me stream everything. So yeah, this is what we do for fun. Joining me today are some lovely new players, some maybe a little bit more familiar faces than others. So let's go ahead and start by introducing everyone. Ida, would you like to tell us about yourself?
Hi, world. I'm Ida. My pronouns are she and her. I am intermediate to the world of TTRPG. I mostly do the dragon game. But going into space is something pretty new for me. I only recently started playing Star Trek Adventures. I'm doing my best Riker there, but I'm down for like really learning a bit more gritty and a bit more deeper delving into like this kind of adventure together. I think that's going to be a very different feel, and I hope that kind of makes me appreciate these kind of new games. And thank you for giving the opportunity to be exposed to these kind of games in this nice, welcoming, and patient environment for novices like me.
Yeah, for sure. And Annie, I actually have never played with you before, so this is fun and exciting for both of us. Would you like to introduce yourself?
Sure. My name is Annie. I go by Annie Disaster typically on most of my social media stuff. I'm a freelance writer and game designer. I write my own games. I write for other people. And I've just got two of my own games just started. So I'm excited to play other people's games too, because this is how you kind of get to know other games and stuff like that. So I'm excited to be here.
We're very happy to have you. And then last but definitely not least, Kevin, who I just found out we've actually been playing a game together for months, and I didn't realize that this was that person. So technically know each other, but I didn't know that. Would you like to introduce yourself to me and also everyone else?
Sure. My name's Kevin, and I've been playing TTRPGs in one form or another for 25 years now. I'm trying not to make myself seem that old, but I've fantasy and sci-fi are pretty much my jam. They're my mainstays for games that I play. So if it has to do with space, I'm going to enjoy it. So that's why I was driven to want to try this game out.
That is very fair. I also absolutely love space. I was so excited. So I am the one who originally came up with the idea for In December. So when we put out a call looking for games, obviously, like, we got a huge response, which was absolutely amazing. The community told us about so many games that we had never heard of before. But I was also like, here's a list of games that I want to play. I get to do this because I'm in charge. So I'm actually the one who put Starforged on the list because like I said, I backed it immediately and I was like, I want to play this game finally. So I'm very excited to be able to do it. So before we get into things, a little disclaimer for everybody in the audience. I am pregnant, and pregnancy brain is a real thing. So if I get confused or whatever while we're going through the rules, that is your problem. Too bad. So you just deal with that however you need to, because I'm multitasking by streaming and playing a game and growing an actual human at the same time. So that's how that goes.
You are not worthy.
We're not allowed to complain. It's in our contracts.
That's exactly right. I will dock your pay from nothing to half of nothing. If you complain.
We owe you money.
Yeah, that's exactly right. That is exactly correct. So you see on the screen, and everybody should have a PDF of Ironsworn for just the game rules. If you want to go ahead and open that up, there is a copy on stream so that the people on stream can follow along with us. And okay, so this is the cover. It's beautiful. Let's just start with that. This is a preview edition. The game's not technically out yet. This is something that the backers can get early, but this is basically like a fully done, like, layout, everything, solid game. And it blows my mind that this counts as a demo edition of the game. But this is what we're working with. And I'm going to go through here. Inspiration and stuff. Exactly what you would expect. And then chapter 1, the basics. That's probably where we're going to start right there. Let me breeze through some of this real fast. Let's see here. You also can't see this, but this book is 353 pages long. It is very thorough. Don't be discouraged by that, though, because a lot of it is random tables that are super helpful, but you don't have to use any random tables you don't want to. Okay, cool. So we're looking at modes of play here. There is guided, cooperative, and solo. Guided is more traditional, what you would expect, where there's sort of a GM. That's going to be me. Cooperative is where we all play together and there isn't necessarily someone in charge. And then solo, obviously, is when you are playing by yourself, which is a super valid mode of play. And there is a, I think I want to say it's called the dark spot, maybe. If you search Starforged on YouTube, a YouTube playthrough comes up that is solo play, and that has been really interesting for me to watch. So, like, all of these modes of play are totally valid. This time, we're going to be doing guided because I like to be in charge of things, even when I should not be. So that's what we're doing. Tone and inspiration, what we need to play. Okay, so when we actually start playing, which is not going to be this time, it's going to be Thursday, I think. We're going to need, everybody needs 2 10-sided dice and a d6. And then Oracle dice for Oracle stuff. I will have the Oracle dice. So, but that's pretty much it as far as what you need with you. And then the PDF includes the character sheet and such. So, good on that one. Our adventures are set in sort of different areas. We will get to that. Okay, can you see on screen yet? Cool, okay. So this whole thing is set in the Forge. That's kind of the name for the galaxy that it's in. And there are different areas of the Forge. And they're actually explained here. So the terminus is people landed in this region early, and settlements are pretty common. It's much more like it's got resources and caravans and paths, and it's more accessible. There's more people. The Outlands have fewer people. It's a little bit less accessible. It's a little bit, stuff is farther out. It's a little bit harder to get things. The Expanse is like only a few people have gone into that area. It's not very well explored yet. And then the Void is just like, who even knows what's over there? So depending on what kind of adventure you want to have, you could be in a busy spaceport in a hive of scum and villainy. You could be out in the wastes of space where hardly anyone has gone before, you have options here. Mechanics. I don't want to do mechanics. And before we start with characters, I would like, I think, to do a little bit of world building first, because I personally feel like when you know what the world is, you have a better idea of the character that you want to play in it. That's kind of my personal preference. So let me get past some of these rules. Also, gaze upon how gorgeous this book is. Do I actually, is there bookmarks? There is bookmarks. That's a smart thing.
Yes, there are. And they're
Yes.
very nicely set up. I was actually reading through, not Starforged, but the Ironsworn, and their PDFs are also like, I'm impressed at how neatly organized it is, having played, for example, Vampire Masquerade, where it's like, what the heck is this? Where am I looking for things? Which is a wonderful game if it wasn't for so much literal flipping every now and then. Love the game too.
Star Trek does that too.
Yes.
Lots of flipping.
Yes.
Okay. Choose your truths. That's what we're looking for here. Oh, goodness. Okay. Perfect. Now we're back on the correct. Screwed the whole overlay up. Literally unplayable. Who could watch this stream? We've got half an inch of gray on the screen. Unprofessional. Somebody should call my manager. Anyway, so we're going to start with the default assumptions here. They are on the screen. It can be a little small for some people depending on your screen resolution and everything, so I'm just going to go ahead and read them out loud really fast. I feel like that's probably just to help with accessibility. This is a perilous future. 2 centuries ago, your people fled a cataclysm and settled a distant galaxy they call the Forge. This is a chaotic place full of dangers and mysteries. So this is something that's just true in this game. We did not, you can still call it humanity. Humanity did not start in the Forge. We came here from somewhere else because something happened. What's that something? We're going to decide that later. But something happened, and now we're in a new galaxy, and it's dangerous. That's true. This is a lonely future, with some possible exceptions, which we'll come up with if we want to. Humans are the only known intelligent life in the galaxy. Others once lived here, but only mysterious and perilous vaults remain to mark their legacy. Aliens are not a big thing in this game. There can be some around if we want there to be some around, but for the most part, they're like extinct, mysterious species. This is a diverse future. There's a vibrant mix of people and cultures among the humans of the Forge. If you think you're getting into the D&D trope of this is just medieval Europe and that's it, but in space, ding dong, you are wrong. We got all sorts of people around here, and there's all sorts of mix in culture. Again, sort of like Firefly is what I'm imagining, that there's a little bit of everything that kind of made it into space. This is a far-flung future. Settlements lie scattered and often isolated from one another. Your starship can travel at faster than light speeds, but it is ponderously slow at a cosmic scale. Imagine that. This is an unexplored future. Discoveries await. Even in settled regions, much of the Forge is unknown and uncharted. This is a wondrous future. The Forge is a galaxy of ancient mysteries, spacefaring creatures, startling phenomenon, and other marvels. Because otherwise the game would be boring. This is a retro future. Envision the technology you wield as only slightly advanced over today's real-world technologies, or even a step back in many ways. Resources are scarce, and the people of the Forge must cobble together what they can. This is an unjust future. Those in power hoard resources, control technologies, and impose their will on others through force or cunning. Others must stand against these forces of imperialism and oppression. We're all familiar with that, I think. This is a hopeful future. Despite these challenges, hope remains. Fulfilling your sworn vows is a realization of that hope. So that's, no matter what we do next, these things are all true about the universe and the game. So It's going to be cool, and it's going to be mysterious, and we're going to have an adventure, and it's going to be hopeful, and yeah, great, perfect. So the next thing we're going to get into is the truths about the world. And they kind of go in order, so we're just going to go through them in order. And there are oracle tables to pick your catechism, to pick the Exodus, to pick things like that. This is an open dialogue. This session is not just going to be me rolling dice and telling you what's going on. If we don't like what we rolled, we can think of something else. Or we can go, actually, wouldn't it be cool if, or whatever. Like, this is us putting together a world. It is not just me rolling dice and then that's it, because that would be boring. So we're teamwork, team building. Woo! And that does involve... I think I'm not going to be doing rolling for everything. I think we're probably going to take turns rolling, but I do need to throw all these dice out of my dice tray here. Let's see. Get some... Get my D10s. Okay, perfect.
D10s and D6s.
Have some swirly purple, spacey looking, ready for space D10s.
Pretty.
Yes. Okay. So, you can select your truths for each category in one of three ways. Mix and match these techniques as you like. We can choose from some options, we can roll for it, or we can customize it and make our own. We will probably end up doing a blend of all of this for anything at any given time. So let's start with group activity, yada, yada, yada. Let's start with the catechism. So, Ida, would you like to make the first roll? Because I've decided. So if you roll 2d10 and give me the number that you roll, and we'll see on the list what comes up. And then we'll kind of go from there.
Shabam. 39.
39. Interdimensional entities invaded our reality. Without warning, these implacable and enigmatic beings ravaged our homeworlds. We could not stand against them. With the last of our defenses destroyed, our hope gone, we cast our fate to the forge. Here we can hide, survive. So, Annie, do you want to go ahead and roll another, 2d10, give me your 100, and we can look at these entities took the form of...
91.
91. World-eating abominations of unimaginable scale. So somewhere out there, hopefully outside of the forge and not in it, are these huge, unthinkable monstrosities that came out of nowhere in an instant and destroyed our homeworld. So that's fine and normal. And I'm sure there's no lasting cultural trauma about that at all.
We're totally well-adjusted, normal people.
Yeah, we're fine. Yeah.
In space.
So one thing you'll notice, you can see down at the bottom here, is there are quest starters involved with pretty much every oracle. So by the time we're done with this, we'll probably have a short list of 10 potential quest starters, and we could go with any of them for the one shot on Thursday, if we so choose. So this first example here is, here in the Forge, a rogue faction holds an artifact of these interdimensional entities. What is the nature of this relic? What power or dark fates does the faction intend to unleash? So if we wanted to, we could go there's a cult trying to summon Space Armageddon. You have to stop it. That's totally an option that we have if we want to. So that's one of the really cool things about the oracles in this particular game, is it gives you options, and then it gives you details, and then it gives you actionable quests on top of that. So if you're putting together a campaign, you can just kind of keep notes of all of these things, and then your campaign just kind of builds and builds and builds off these 1 or 2 little sentence quests. It's really cool. So, world-eating abominations of unimaginable scale. Let's just talk about this for a second, because I feel like that's kind of a big deal. When it says world-eating, what do you guys feel like that means? Is it like devouring? Are they devouring people or resources or actual planets or like gravity or like what are you tell me what it is that we're fleeing from? No pressure.
Where would we?
It's just the things that
we've
destroyed your
we
world.
have fled to the forge.
Yes.
Yeah, they could be, you know, like they absorb the ambient energy from things, and like, you know, like a plague of locusts where it just leaves like barren wasteland in the area afterwards. So entire planets are like taken over by this swarm or scourge or whatever it is, and it's just left a lifeless, empty, resourceless husk.
Ooh.
Yeah.
I could totally see that. So when you say sucks out your energy, when you say like feeds on life energy and stuff, are you talking about like they left zombies?
Or like entropy and thermodynamics is like consumed kind of thing.
Yeah, it could be like that. More, you know, like if it absorbs a person, like in I can't remember that Disney movie that I just saw recently. I can't remember the one with the dragons.
Raya?
Raya?
Yeah,
The Last Dragon?
yeah, and where they, you know, like the scourge thing comes out and everyone just pretty much gets turned into like, you know, statues and everything. Like it could be something like that, except, you know, like, you know, instead of it being like a whole statue that you could bring the person back somehow, you know, like it's destroyed. It looks like time went through and, you know, it was damaged and thousands of years passed in like a single instant, you know, where they were worn away and everything.
Like a Thanos snap, essentially.
Yeah, kind of.
But like instead of the dust like totally disappearing, you're left with like a crumbling husk half statue sort of situation. Okay, I dig this.
Yeah.
Somewhere out in the universe is an entire husk of a planet with the remnants of your ancestors on it. That's awesome. I like that. That's probably not something that you want to like come across in the Forge.
No, you don't want that coming back, that's for sure.
Probably not.
So our Earth, our Terra got husked.
Husked.
Husked, and we're fleeing a husking. We're all like
so that seems pretty cataclysmic to me. Scott, yes, this is the same system as Ironsworn. It is just sci-fi instead of fantasy. From what I understand, so this game's by Sean Tomlin. From what I understand, there are a few tweaks to make the mechanics fit space better. But all told, it's a sworn game. Yeah. So now we have our cataclysmic event, which I feel like we did a pretty good job of making cataclysmic. That feels pretty cataclysmic to me. So let's talk about the Exodus. So like how you left. So Kevin, would you like to roll the next 2d10 to see about our Exodus here?
It's a 54.
54, okay. A ragtag fleet of ships propelled at tremendous speeds by experimental FTL drives, which is faster than light drives, for those of you who don't know, carried our ancestors to the Forge. But the technology that powered these ships is said to be the source of the Sundering, a fracturing of reality which plagues us here today. So the tech we use to get here, to get away from the interdimensional beings, which we should probably come up with a name for them, I guess. We put it together so fast, and it was so like unsafe and unsustainable that we yeeted ourselves across to a new galaxy, and in the process, we broke something. The experimental drives used by the Exodus fleet are forbidden, but the damage is done. The The sundering spreads across our reality like cracks on the surface of an icy pond. Those fissures unleash even more perilous realities upon our own. Did we flee one cataclysm only to inadvertently create another? That's so cool! What does that mean?
Oh no.
Okay, team. So what about our ships is space breaking when we used them? Like, what about them is so bad that they're illegal now?
I mean, I could probably borrow a little Star Trek and say that they were like powered by like the energy of a black hole kind of idea. And if that loses containment, then bad things happen. So maybe one of them did.
I like that idea. Another one I'm going to throw out there. Y'all are the judge and jury on this. I'm just going to be running the adventure. But perhaps in order to get all of the energy to get all the way across a galaxy as fast as we needed to, we also basically had to use up a planet worth of resources. So it was like, we're going to become them if we keep doing this. But it was us versus them survival. That is my
We're going to
submission
become
to the
whatever, and we would become whatever entity that the Huska phenomenon is driving towards, or we would share these kind of goals in common. Dark.
I mean, that's a good reason to outlaw it.
Yeah.
When something is outlawed, I'm always curious about the people who strive to go for the illegal things. What's in it for them? What's the benefit beyond just surviving? What could someone bad and self-interested gain in pursuing that illegal knowledge?
It sounds like it would be, hey Gronk, welcome to the stream. It sounds like it would be that your ship would be the fastest. Like, you could outrun any government. You could be the quickest, maybe pirate, maybe smuggler, maybe whatever. You could do the Kessel Run in like less than 12 parsecs.
So if you outrun the existing government, as the sole survivor, you're the de facto government.
Yep.
So there's people pushing the limits, pushing that illegal goalpost further and further to make sure that, not for philanthropic reasons, but for self-preservation, self-empowering reasons, we have to build the fastest ship. And they're not necessarily sharing their advances with everyone else, but that illegal goalpost is out there mocking us.
Yeah, so this is already freaking cool, and we've been doing this for 10 minutes, so this is why I love this game.
Me gusta.
All right, so that's how we left and why it was a problem. Yeah. Now let's talk about communities. I'm going to go ahead and roll this one. I'm allowed to roll 2, I think. That is an 8. Okay, few survived the journey to the forge, and we are scattered to the winds in this perilous place. Our settlements are often small, starved for resources, and on the brink of ruin. Hundreds of far-flung settlements are lost and isolated within the untamed chaos of this galaxy, and we do not know their fate, is what I rolled. It feels like, though, that if what we've already established is that there are people who are willing to bend moral, ethical, and legal laws to maybe come out ahead to make their own new governments and for them to be in charge and such, if that's what we just established, it feels like it would make more sense to me if there are more people around here. Like, if there's a little bit more of an established society, a little bit more of an established government where we are, because that feels like it would give more reason to want to buck against the system. But that's just my initial
if we want to go
impression.
with what we rolled, it could be the technology that we used to hit FTL, was just, we're building it to try and get away from this enemy, and not everyone arrived in the same places. So, you have Group A that landed here, Group B that landed here, and because of the lack of FTL drives at that point, because we didn't want to use technology anymore, the communication and trade and everything between all these different settlements didn't happen. But, like your friend that lived down the street could have been on one of those ships, and you're like, are they still alive? Do they make the trip? And then people can be then trying to use the illegal technology to get to those other places to, exploit their labor, resources, trade, stuff like that.
I dig that.
I see a bridge
That
there.
makes sense to me.
Yeah.
That argument. Cool.
Are you taking notes, Ida?
Yeah.
Me too.
Can I? Am I allowed to?
Yes, you're definitely allowed to. I'm glad
I
someone
can't
is.
stop taking notes every games I play. Stop. Make it stop.
My hot plan is always to just focus on what we're doing in the moment, and then I come back and rewatch the VOD and take notes from there. Because otherwise I'm like... Okay, so that's our communities. Let's talk about Iron. So, in Ironsworn, which is the original game, which is more... It's got more of a Viking feel to it. It's a lot of like old world, like there could be some magic, the way this game could have aliens if you want. It's got much more of that vibe, but the core premise of Ironsworn is that iron is really important for one reason or another. We will decide that. And when you swear a vow on iron, when you are an Ironsworn, that's like you now. This is your life. This is what you do. Like, you have sworn an iron vow. You're doing it. Whatever you swore, that's what it is. And some of them are more short term, like maybe side quest level. You promise a villager in your town that you'll go save their daughter from a pack of bears or something. But some of them are much more long term, like you vow to find who killed your father and avenge him. And that could be like a lifelong goal. So there's range of different vows, but iron vows are integral to this game. All of you will start with one, like a life goal, basically, vow when we get to character creation. That I can pretty much guarantee you we're not going to get to during the one shot that we play, but it will deeply impact your character and how they think and what they do, because in the background of everything is my long-term goal is this. So iron's a big deal. So let's talk about why iron's a big deal in this game. We got to figure out what it is. So Ida, if you want to roll me the 2d10.
I do. 57. Middle one.
57. Iron vows are
sworn upon totems.
Crafted from the enigmatic metal we call black iron. Black iron was first forged by a long-dead civilization. Some say it's a living metal, attuned to hidden depths of the universe. Remnants of this prize resource are found within ancient sites through the forge. It is resistant to damage and corrosion, but can be molded using superheated plasma at specialized facilities. The Ironsworn carry weapons, armor, or tokens crafted from black iron and swear vows upon it. So what we rolled is whatever previous civilization was here, whatever aliens lived here in the forge before us, they left a really special metal. And when you swear an iron vow, you swear it on alien metal. So that's pretty rad.
I feel that kind of reinforces the idea of a manifest destiny, kind of like we were meant to be here in the end, and we are meant to go as far as we can. We are meant to make this ours. Bad idea, bad application then, more complicated application here in this game.
Yeah. I also really like the idea of this because what we were trying to get away from is these, monstrous universe-eating beings. But in the process of trying to get away from them, we sort of made the same moves that they did by eating up the resources of an entire planet. So I feel like it would make sense that we as humanity are not trying to go back to that. We're trying to look forward. So using tokens from this place and not something that we brought with us from our old world is part of looking forward and trying not to be that or trying not to do that or go there again. So that kind of fits, I think, with the world that we've already created. Also freaking alien metal, y'all. And while we're playing, we can kind of decide if it has any special properties. Normal iron is magnetic. Is this magnetic? I don't know. Is it attuned to radio frequency? I don't know. Does it have a different gravity? Maybe it's not magnetic to metal. Maybe it's magnetic to plants. We can kind of decide too if there's anything cool about this, but that's not even something that we need to decide right now. That's something that can come up in game if we wanted to. Or if you have a cool idea between now and Thursday and you're like, oh man, wouldn't it be great if, just put it in the Discord and we'll be like, yeah, totally, we can put it in the game. So even that is we have some, oh, hold on. Very important text message.
Okay.
I have been all about French fries this pregnancy, so my husband's texting me, asking me what I want from Chick-fil-A, so this is very important that I need waffle fries. Stat.
What kind of French fries do you want? Yes.
All of them. Give me all of them. It's very important. Okay, what were we talking about? Something less important.
If you're ever in my neighborhood, I will invite you to all the special Amsterdam and Belgian fries, which are all double fried and always served with mayonnaise instead of ketchup. And they come in these paper horns. I will treat you to all the fries you can eat in your neighborhood.
They're very good.
Yeah.
That sounds so good. Why are we doing this? Why aren't we just having fries?
Can be very different kind of cream.
Yeah. Laws are next. So Ida rolled the last one. Annie, do you want to roll this one? Roll your 2d10. We'll see about these laws.
Let's see. 24.
24. All right, so we got. Much of the settlement domains are a lawless frontier. Criminal factions and corrupt leaders often hold sway. So that feels pretty in line with the vibe that I was hoping for with this game, because I really love things I've mentioned it a couple times now. Firefly was one of my favorite shows. So that kind of vibe and playing in that sort of with that kind of texture to the universe really appeals to me. So having sort of the outskirts, lawless frontier, and then criminal factions and corrupt leaders often hold sway, that really appeals to me because it's the kind of game that I was hoping to play. But I think it also makes a lot of sense if all of our ships ended up in a bunch of different places, that it wasn't as easy to get one unified government together. It was sort of okay, every ship for themselves sort of thing. And then you end up with whoever's the strongest or finds the resources first or whatever it is ends up in charge. So that I feel still fits with what we're going for here.
Oh, yeah.
A few communities are bastions of successful autonomy, but many are corrupted or preyed upon by petty despots, criminals, and raiders. I think... So, Gronk, this is not Cowboy Bebop music. This is the Norse Foundry's... Norse Foundry has DMCA-free music on Spotify, so this is Stars Above that we're listening to. Is there, space-themed background music for stream. So that's what's playing. I've actually never seen Cowboy Bebop, so I have no idea if this sounds similar. I'll have to take your word for it. I know. I grew up on American comics, not anime.
I might have to leave the stream.
To be fair, I've tried the first 3 episodes for years. I can't. My rule is I have to give it 3 episodes to accept. I've tried 15 years to like it.
I would be willing.
I watched it for Ein and literally nothing else.
Yeah, I love corgis just because of that show, but
Yeah.
you know, the show itself is also very good too.
We're getting really off topic.
Yoko,
I feel like
the composer, amazing. Space, amazing. There.
Everybody loves space. I feel like if you were to send me like highlight clips or like your favorite episode or whatever, I could probably do that. But the idea of like starting from the beginning is just, yeah. So that's kind of where I am at this point. Religion. Religion is always interesting in the Starsworn games. It does not work at all the way you'd think if you're used to playing the dragon game, where there's like basically like kind of patrons for different things. That's really not how it is in the Sworn games at all. So there's a lot more like diversity, I guess. Annie, did you just roll the last? Okay, so Kevin, go ahead and roll 2d10 for religion.
2.
Yes, I was like kind of really wanting that first one.
Same.
Well, and again, at any point, if we're like, one of these really feels like it fits, we can just go with that one. So we do not have to follow with the dice.
Yes.
But now it is, the dice have spoken. Our gods failed us. We left them behind. The Exodus was a tipping point. The gods offered no help to the billions who died in the cataclysm, and spirituality has little meaning in the Forge. Most now see religion as a useless relic of our past. But the search for meaning continues, and many are all too willing to follow a charismatic leader who claims to offer a better way. That makes a lot of sense with the background that we have.
Like if there's so much corruption and this competition, I feel like what's worshipped is power. What's worshipped is strength.
Mm-hmm. And depending on how it's set up with like the iron or how it's set up with the monstrosities that we probably should name because they like ruin the whole universe, that feels important. Doing like maybe here and there's some scattered cults makes sense to me, but not really like organized religion. I could see some like misguided people getting swept up in some dark stuff that way. I don't know that we'd play the game that way for this one shot, but I could see it being somewhere in the world. All right.
Like you imagine that some pockets of people see some coincidences and like go zealoty on that?
Yeah. Well, and I also think if we're being honest, it's been in the I have hiccups now, sorry. So in the game, it's been, I think, a century or two since we came from Earth to the Forge. But I think probably, at least for a while, there might have been some trauma associated with what we had to do to get the ships to flee, and like how do you balance what we did versus what the abominations did and stuff like that. So there may have at least at one point been more of a, like, I guess more like factions. Like, we did the right thing to get away from them, and the only important thing is being the strongest ones, and we should keep using this technology so we can beat them at their own game. And like people who more obsessed over that sort of thing and became sort of like factions of really interested in power. I don't know that would still be a thing now because it's been a couple hundred years. But
I could
see it being a thing at least at first.
It makes having faith a bit more of like a journey at that point, though.
Yeah. Yeah, much more like much more personal. All right,
Yeah.
I'm gonna roll for magic, and I rolled a 38. Which again, at any point we can totally disregard this. So the one that we rolled is supernatural powers are wielded by those rare people we call paragons. While not magic in the truest sense, the abilities of the paragons are as close to magic as we can conjure. These powers are born of... Ida, do you want to go ahead and roll your 2d10 and we'll see?
These powers are born of 27 psychic experimentation.
Ooh.
Huh. What did our iron do again? Black iron, resistant. Maybe it's magic?
Maybe is magic. Or this could be something related to what we were just saying, is when we first moved out to the Forge, there were small factions of people who were like, wanted to continue using that FTL tech and wanted to like keep growing and like maybe more like a revenge thing to like be the eventually be able to beat the monstrosities that took over our universe. So if they were doing a lot of like really immoral or sketchy experiments, then psychic experimentation was sort of like born of that forever ago. Well, not forever ago because it's been a couple hundred years.
It could be that there was also a last-ditch effort to try and save everything, and while they were doing the experimentation, it opened up those people to whatever force was destroying the universe, and it altered them, and then throughout time, as they had children and everything like that power was passed on but diminished as time went on, so it's not as strong as it once was, but it still allows people to do extraordinary things.
That's cool. I like that idea. And then there might also be some push and pull of like, should you even do this if it is kind of a remnant of how we used to be, and but you could help people with it, and then there's like gray area moral dilemma. I'm down for that.
Yeah.
All right. Communication and data. Annie, 2d10, please.
All right. 95.
95. In settled domains, a network of data hubs called the Weave allow near instantaneous communication and data sharing between ships and outposts. So we have kind of internet. Useful.
Yeah, but I don't think that doesn't really fit with what we've been doing. Unless like those data networks are like they're just the network in that area and there is no intercommunication.
Between
so it does say in settled. Yeah, it does say in settled domains. So I'm wondering if there's like those few like actually established, like got on their feet sort of settlements that like grew up into, I don't know if we want to say like full-size cities or maybe like the size of states or maybe took over whole planets or however we want to say that. But like there were a few of them, I think is what we said, that like actually were doing well. So maybe there are a few places that have connections within the place. Which kind of reminds me of like Night City from Cyberpunk Red. There's like an intranet.
Yeah. Also, at that point, communication between civilizations becomes its own form of like currency at that point. Yeah. Being able to give access to knowledge of like other civilizations would be something incredibly valuable at that point.
So it sounds like the second option, but with the caveat that it is irregular and highly regulated. Irregular as in not easily accessible, and highly regulated by aforementioned gangs, corrupted, only those in power.
Mm-hmm. So that sounds like another thing
based on what Anya said.
Yeah, no, that's exactly what it sounds like to me. But it also sounds like the sort of thing that someone who wants to be in power would want that tech. So it might be like, that's maybe not a status symbol, but that's like one of the things that you're like striving for when you're trying to be in charge. I dig it. I dig it a lot. All right. Medicine. Kevin, roll for it.
29.
All right. Our advanced medical technologies and expertise was lost during the Exodus. Healers are rare and ill-equipped. Untold numbers have succumbed to sickness, injury, and disease. Those who survive often bear the scars of hard and dangerous life in the Forge. I think that makes sense to me, since a lot of what we're talking about is refusing to use our old technologies. And I bet, like, you get to a whole new planet and you're like, okay, there are things like, you know, lavender is good for taking down swelling. And you're like, okay, well, there's no lavender on this planet. So, like, what do we do? You know, like that sort of thing where you almost have to, like, start over with medicinal stuff.
Also, if knowledge is currency, like medical knowledge would be very valuable currency at that point too.
Yep.
Yeah, that makes much sense. Much sense indeed. Okay. Artificial intelligence. It is my turn to roll. That is a let's see here. That is a 69. Nice. Artificial consciousness emerged in the time before the Exodus, and sentient machines live with us here in the Forge. So that sounds more like that sounds more like the pre-Exodus tech that we're trying to like leave behind. So I'm wondering if we have some sentient machines, but they're like really old and starting to break down, and like we don't know how to make any new ones.
That could work. And we could also, these machines were used to like store people's memories and essences and stuff like that as they were killed by whatever was happening. So, you know, you were able to transfer Grandpa into one of these machines, and he came with us. And, you know, over time they break down and everything. So it's like you're losing that person all over again as this mechanical body is starting to fail and everything like that. But they have knowledge from the way things used to be, so they are still looked at as a higher, you know, like elders and everything like that.
That's really interesting. So like you could be traveling with a small little robot version of like your great 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 grandma.
Yeah.
But but the machine itself is aging, so it's like revered in the sense of your elders, but unreliable in the sense that we can't fix this. The tape on the cassette is too stretched now or something.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that goes back to like lost technology. So yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Interesting. I kind of love that idea. So one of the things that you can have in this game is a little companion. When you're during character creation, you can make yourself a little companion. You can have a little robot guy if you want. So one of you guys could have just, you know, one of your ancestors or someone else following you around in a little robot. That's possible for this game. War.
What is
I
a good
feel
card?
like, yeah. It feels to me like the first option makes the most sense with the world that we've already built. I don't mind rolling for it, but that just seems like kind of the logical. Here in the Forge, resources are too precious to support organized fighting forces or advanced weaponry. Like if everybody's really spread out and it's more like localized small dogs trying to become big dogs. I don't think there's going to be large-scale war between places.
Yeah.
Just a hunch on my part.
Either that or the middle one too, where like mercenary groups and stuff. If you like,
oh yeah,
you can fight to like if you can pay to fight, and also you can pay a knowledge at that point in order to get somebody to fight for you. So.
What do we think, team?
I like it.
I like the first option if we consider that these corrupt groups, these illegal, low ethical groups, are perhaps using more low-tech sabotage things to knock down their competition, so that everything else can be put into having the fastest ship when these entities' bad stuff catches us again.
Yeah, that makes sense to me. Life forms. Okay. I don't remember who rolled last. It's probably not that big a deal. Ida, start us off again. Roll for life forms.
Okay. Bam. 26.
This is a perilous and often inhospitable galaxy, but life finds a way. Life in the Forge is diverse. Planets are often home to vast array of creatures, and our starships cruise with spaceborne lifeforms riding their wake. Even animals from our homeworld, carried aboard the Exodus ships, have adapted to live with us in the Forge. Okay, so there's like a bunch of different animals and stuff. I think that makes perfect sense because we're in an entirely new world. And it also makes sense that we would try and bring...
Cats are universal.
Yeah, it also makes sense to me that we would try and bring animals from our homeworld with us as sort of a Noah's Ark situation because we knew that planet was going to be completely destroyed. So... yeah, that means we get to make up some fun space animals. I love fun space animals, so I'm for
Corgi.
that.
There will be a
Space
corgi
corgis.
somewhere.
Yay!
Okay.
Yeah, I think of the options that I'm scanning through, that makes the most sense with what we have anyway. Like, of course we would want to try and flee to somewhere that is as much like Earth as possible. So, yeah. Even though we all ended up in completely different planets. All right. Precursors. Annie. This is where we're going to find out where the iron comes from, I think. 47. The Ascendancy, an advanced spacefaring empire, once ruled the entirety of the Forge. Vaults of inscrutable purpose are all that remain to mark the Ascendancy's legacy, but those places are untethered from our own reality. So there used to be a big fancy empire that ruled this whole place, and this is where the iron comes from. And now they're gone, and we have no idea what the vaults were for. There's basically like kind of that Stonehenge situation where we're like, okay, this is obviously a thing, but what? And there's fancy magic iron.
But they were advanced. It strikes me like a She-Ra Princess of Power situation when they found all that tech. I like it.
But like tech that maybe it still works, but like you have no idea what it does or how to use it, and the language is not the same, and the like maybe there's biometrics and you're not even the same like species. Like it's just so alien that you're like, we have no idea what this is.
Or
maybe the black iron unlocks it.
Yeah, the metal is like the remnants of the keys of these things. So you can either choose to use it for stuff, or you can try to keep your piece of a key to try to, at some point, maybe unlock one of the vaults. If you can find the right one.
And there's a race constantly for these things. People kill each other to like that's where the factions go in.
Yeah, the collector key pieces. And it's pretty hefty to have like a key piece, and that's like a thing.
Like this is your
So
key.
swearing on one of those would be like
And
a
there will
big
also be-
deal.
Mm-hmm.
And there would also be factions who would, try and stop people from getting to these because they see, the interdimensional, untethered from reality nature of these vaults as being close to what we ran away from, so they don't want to draw the attention of those things and make us have to, leave again.
Oh yeah, if there's like tons of some sort of energy that these vaults produce or harness somehow, that would send out a big tasty beacon to the abominations that ate our last world. Ooh, 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 ooh. I'm gonna be real, y'all. World building is like my favorite part. Maybe this is because I am ADHD, but like I want to build all the world and then I don't want to have to do the work of putting together a plot. So I'm just like, let's just do this. When my husband and I played Ironsworn together, that's literally what we did. Is we did all the world building and then we never played our characters, but we had a blast.
Goal succeeded. You had fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Horrors. Kevin, would you like to roll for horror?
Ooh. 82.
Oh no.
The strange
Right,
energy of the forest gives unnatural life to the dead. The Soulbinders are an organization sworn to confront those horrifying entities. So I wonder if... Okay, so if we're going with this, which we do not have to, but if we're going with this, we kind of have two different options here. One is we have some ancient mysterious tech that we don't know how it works, and maybe if you mess with it wrong, you end up weird undead. And the other is we have basically haunted AI robots that are breaking down. So it's possible that in an attempt to save the memories and the knowledge of this, slowly decaying mechanics, that we've tried to put them in other bodies or somehow otherwise take their consciousness out so that the body can, like, the mechanics can, like, totally decay, but we get to still keep all the information. And in doing so, we've accidentally created some sort of, like, weird mechanical undead abominations. This is just off the top of my head. Y'all have the floor.
That's dope.
Like Borgs, but they're not bent on assimilating.
Like each one gets like a piece of consciousness, so they could either collectively like attack together as they're all one, or they just have like operated individually with their small piece that they like ended up having. If you try to spread it amongst others, but like each time you did that, they just kind of like
break
as
people.
Mm-hmm.
I guess another more traditional option is the
undead.
Yeah. Another more traditional option is the Dark Souls route, where, like, as these mechanical things sort of break down, they become, like, husks and sort of forget themselves, and then there's, like, undead mechanical, like, robots around. Because we couldn't save them. Also an option. There are many options here.
I guess the question is how dense do we want these undead to be around? Like, is it like an entire like swarm that's really, really like concentrated? Like there's a whole bunch. If you like if you uncover a nest, you uncover like a nest. Like it could be like old manufacturing or something where they attempted to like massively make these robots and then it just like failed.
Oh, like if you find an abandoned factory.
Yeah, like it could have like a lot of resources, but don't wake the robots.
There we go.
Another option.
And this could also be the reason why
both of them together.
Contact with certain. Yeah, it could also be the reason why you lose contact with certain colonies that they were just overrun by these undead, and you go there and it's just, organic undead and mechanical undead that are just swarming the entire place.
So there's like dead colonies that you're like, well, they tried.
Yeah, pretty much.
All right. I'm down for this. Doesn't have to be everywhere, but there are a few pockets of places that you're just like, nope. That's not what you want. All right.
So the TLDR is that there is to be determined organic or mechanical, we're just going to call them undead, which are failed tech by said ancient precursors, and they have definitely the opportunity to be hostile if incorrectly triggered.
Yeah, they could be guardians of a certain place. It might be an indicator that you're close to a vault at that point if you start seeing more and more mechanical undead creatures close to it at that point.
I dig this. So that is our world overview. So the next thing when you're going down the list is character creation. After character creation, there's also specific area creation, which we are not going to be able to get to on stream. I can pretty much guarantee that, because I'm going to be real with you. Whenever my husband get home with fries, the stream is over. That's just how this is going to work.
Do a review of the fries or what you expect before we leave.
Oh, totally. So how this works is that's the overview of the whole world and the mechanics of the world. Then you get into character creation, and then after character creation, there's a separate part where you roll random tables for the specific area that you're in, like the specific world you're on or the settlement or whatever. That just gives you a little bit more to work with. Just gives it a little bit more texture. You roll for the factions that might be there, or maybe some problems that the settlement might have or whatever, which is pretty standard. But I don't think we're going to get to that part on stream, but that's fine, because that will give us a little bit more to introduce when we start the game on Thursday. So that will be fine. So if we want to take, I think, because we've been doing this for over an hour, let's go ahead and take a quick, just a couple minute break before we start into character creation, kind of a little bit of a palate cleanser, get some water, get up, stretch, go to the bathroom, and we'll just be back in just a moment, and then we'll get into character creation. Sound good? All right.
Yep.
Okay, we are back, ladies, gentlemen, and other spacefarers. So we are getting into the beginnings of content creation. Oh my gosh, you hear maybe a streamer over here. Character creation. We are not going to get through the whole thing on stream. I will let these lovely players have their secrets about their characters, and that you are just going to have to tune in on Thursday to find out about. But for now, we're going to start with the basics. We know for sure that y'all are human, and y'all can be any culture, ethnicity, whatever human that you want to be. No holds barred. This is a diverse and inclusive universe. It says so right here in the book. But you are human. So let me get back to my rule book here. So you are probably going to want your... So this sheet that I've got up on stream at the moment is kind of a little breakdown of how the character sheet looks, which is really helpful to have this in the book to kind of give you an idea of what it is that you're looking at. So everybody has name, age, pronouns, that's pretty normal, and then everybody has a call sign, which has to do with being spacefaring. It's kind of like your trucker ID name, I guess. So that is something that you can come up with on your own, but there is also an Oracle table for it. And then we have stats, health, your spirit, your background vow. The background vow is like that lifelong thing that I was talking about. That might be something like finding out who killed your father, or discover every type of animal on this planet, or whatever it is that's like kind of a life goal, like will take a very long time to get to, vow. And then you have supply and momentum. Those things I probably won't even get into right now. I personally learn much better by doing. Some people learn from reading. If that's the case, I highly encourage you to just buy the book and read through it. My brain doesn't work that way. Let me actually copy the link in the chat. That would be good, wouldn't it? There we go. So in the chat is the link to pick up this game. It is 100% worth it. But we'll get into like the mechanics of playing when we actually start playing next time. This time we're just going to focus on character creation. So I'm not going to worry about like momentum and supply and stuff. So this is kind of the summary here of what character creation is going to look like. I'm not going to put all the asset cards and everything on stream. We're probably not going to deal with that right now. We're probably going to skip that one at first. So we'll do like paths and backstory and background. And so your asset cards, from what I understand, have all of those things on them. So if we were playing in person, I would actually have like a deck of cards in front of me for this game that would like, we could pass out or shuffle randomly or whatever. Obviously being everyone is, I don't even know if we're all in the same country. I think some of us are in the same country, but it's a little bit hard to share a deck of cards that way. So we are not going to be using the asset cards as you would as if you were in a live game. But yeah, so that's a guy with a rhino. The art is really cool. And I'm not going to worry about that right now. Okay, choose 2 paths. So you are all going to roll your own 2d10 to pick some background paths. If you have the game, you should also have the asset cards, I think.
Yeah, I have them.
Yeah.
Okay. So you can look through your asset cards. I will not have them all up on stream, but you can look through your asset cards and pick 2 of the paths that seem interesting to you. And if you find one that you're like, oh, totally, I want to go with that, then go ahead and just like read it out loud for stream to kind of know where we're going with this one. But it would be really complicated to try and have all the different cards and the rule book up on stream. So sorry, chat, you're just going to have to buy the game. Let me see here.
That's
Make it change log.
H9B.
Here we go. Got some bunch of stuff in here. Support vehicles, paths. Okay. So some example paths, you can be an ace, which has to do with piloting. You can be an agent. You can be an archer. You can be augmented. You can be bannersworn, which bannersworn are people bound to a clan or a faction or a creed. So that's still Ironsworn, like you swear an iron vow, but it's to kind of like a group of people. So those are going to be some factions that you guys probably run into, involve bannersworn people. You can be a blade master or a bounty hunter. You can be a courier. You can be a diplomat. You can be an explorer. You can be a firebrand, which means you get fire energy. Why not? You can be a gearhead or a gunslinger. You could be haunted. You could be a healer. That would be really rare in this game. That would probably be interesting because, like, how do you get anything done when everyone and their mother is like, no, wait, please help me. You could be a mercenary or navigator,
just money.
an outcast. There's tons of things. So does anybody have any ideas for fries are here?
Yay.
Yay! I have a silly idea for a character, so if everyone else wanted to do serious, then I'm gonna have to think of something different.
¿Por qué no los dos?
Okay, well let's do this. So since lunch is here and eating these fries is the most important thing to me in life right now, instead of like going through the rest of character creation, do you guys have ideas for the kind of characters that you would like to play? And let's just talk about that for a minute, and then that will be like the end of our stream.
Okay. I did find two paths that I did like, and I kind of want to like put them together. I like the idea of a bounty hunter, and I like the firebrand idea too. So, like a kind of fire wielding sort of like, that's like her ace up her sleeve kind of idea, that she doesn't always use that magic all that often, but it's something she has. Or it doesn't have to be magic. It could just be a flamethrower. That could be fine too. She just figured out how to do that.
That sounds awesome. Bare minimum, a bounty hunter with a flamethrower. I don't think you can go wrong with that. Kevin, you said you had an idea for a character?
Yeah, I was. This is a concept I've used in the past. Pretty much, I want to play Guy Fieri. So I was thinking of picking the brawler because it'd be really funny to just see him like getting it. Yeah, I figure he spends a lot of time in like seedy bars, trying out food and drink and stuff like that. So he's gotten into his fair share of barroom brawls and had to get out without dying. My second path I haven't quite figured out yet that I still have to think of.
So that sounds like you might want.
So that's why I was figuring a little silly.
Yeah. Totally. I, by the way, have played a game, played some of the Dragon game with someone who is playing Guy Fieri. He was a chef bard named Kai Fieri. And all of his spells were food themed or like, Flavor Town and stuff like that. It was fantastic. We played with a goblin whose name was Ravioli, and life was perfect. So I'm totally down with that.
The other path I was thinking.
Oh, go ahead.
Because another one I could have paid. The second path I was looking at was Vestige. So I'm the last survivor of Flavorton. So this way we don't get sued. It's just just off enough so this way it doesn't trigger copyright infringement.
That is something you could do. Another thing you could do is you could be more of an explorer, like, because his whole thing is like trying to find good food everywhere, right? So that could be part of your Ironsworn vow. And if you have a companion, your companion might have been from Flavorton. So that is a possible.
That works.
That's a possible thing. So there's a lot of options there, and I completely love that idea. And I think there is also a way to play that straight, by the way. I don't think he has to be an entirely joke character.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Oh, yeah. No, I don't have to be completely over the top all the time.
I do, but not everybody has to. Ida, do you have an idea for the kind of character you want to play?
Yes, only because it's a bit of it's a bit different from the kind of characters I usually play. I kind of wouldn't mind going for that scrappy mechanic, MacGyver kind of person, and definitely the gearhead asset is something I'm leaning for. I'd have to really look at the assets to see what second one like really jumps to me for sure.
Right.
So like if we're going out and we're adventuring, equipment's going to break down. And someone has to do the fighting, but someone has to make sure that your flamethrower is like not going to explode in your hands, maybe, or that your butane burners to get your walk up and running is also working, and also get the ships out running. So don't kill me because I could fix your ship, and if you like, leave me and my friends alone, please.
All right.
Like the outcast path could also be good to augment that, because you're working with like old technology, and people can think that you're going to bring the ire of the things that we ran away from, where you're like, you're a heretic because you're using this technology and you could fix it. You have like a connection to it that your average person doesn't have.
Oh, like there's superstition around
I'm
it?
not gonna let that rattle around in my brain.
Yeah.
Yeah, let it stew.
But you need me.
So I think we're going to go ahead and end it there. And then we'll be doing a lot more creation and building behind the scenes. And if you want to know more about it, you're going to have to tune in on Thursday for our little one-shot, where obviously that will be a longer session than this one is, because we'll be playing through an actual game. So join us then. Same time as this, whatever time it was for you, it'll be the same. And it will be this same crew with a couple extra surprises and maybe a little extra spice thrown in there, it seems. So real quick, we'll just go down the line one more time. Ida, would you like to introduce yourself one last time?
My name is Ida. You can find me on Twitter on In the Panager, or that strange name that's constantly retweeting the ladies of D&D tweets. And I guess I'm going to be a mechanic in space, and I'm going to do my best to not let our friends and families get husked. Jenna, thank you for sharing your enthusiasm and for guiding us through this. For me, it's a fairly new experience, so thanks for that.
Yeah. Annie?
Okay, hi, I am Annie. You can find me at AnnieDisaster09 on all the social media things. No, this game is amazing. I'm so excited to play. So I'm really looking forward to playing and just really diving into this one. Thank you.
All right. And Kevin?
My name's Kevin. You can find me on Twitter at Mjolnir Press. I don't really use Twitter all that often. I probably should do it more. Get that engagement score up with my social media. But I'm really looking forward to this game. It's bad because I already have like 5 or 6 other games that I want to try and start running games with my friends, and now I've just added another game to this list. So
I think we can easily convince Scott, though.
I have good. Yeah, but he already runs so much stuff for us. I want to give back. I want to make it so this way he could be a player every once in a while. As someone who's been a forever GM for a very long time, I understand the, how not fun it could be after a while, and you want to just sit back and only control one thing, not everything.
Very same. Speaking of Scott, if you want to show off your swag there, Kevin and I are both in Random Encounters Guild, which is super fun, and we play a lot of games together. I don't know if it's an open Discord or not, or if we're just very special. But if you're interested, Guildmaster Scott is the one who runs literally everything. He's in the chat right now. You can hit him up for that. Kevin and I have been part of a Cinematext Things from the Flood game recently that has been choice.
If you want, you could reach out to me on Twitter, and I can we can start the vetting process. It also includes, if you want to send me some money on Venmo or something like that, I can get you in really good. Just bypass Scott.
Yeah, that's not how I got in, but I hear that's how it works. And last, but probably also not least, my name is Jenna. I have been your stream master and eventual GM for this afternoon. I am one of the ladies of D&D. I'm here all the time. We've been going through... Oh, I didn't even do the spiel. So this is part of Indie December, which during the entire month of December, we showcase indie games and indie game creators. This has been Ironsworn Starforged, just the character and world creation part of it. On Thursday, we're going to play the actual game. This is by Sean Tompkin. It's based on Ironsworn, the same sort of mechanics. And I've been interested in this forever, and I'm so excited about it. And I'm so excited that you guys are excited about it. So hopefully we will see everybody again on Thursday for our thrilling conclusion of our game where we actually get to play the system. So until then, you can join us again. Tomorrow we'll be playing Down with the Bourgeoisie, which is another indie game, this one by Small Red Robin 13. That's a game that I actually worked on. I did all the layout for. I'm still doing the layout for some of the other languages. So if you'd like to support small creators and myself and LD&D, you should show up and take a look at this game. It's going to be fun and silly and ridiculous, and then come back on Thursday and it will be much more serious. And yeah, that's it. So be good, everybody.
Not if I have my way.
Bye.
Have fun.
Have fun. Bye, everyone.